Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Rich of Review Tech USA, and before I get into today's topic, I just want to let you know that I am having some software troubles, and unfortunately, FPS Week will have to be put on hold until March the 14th, which is next Monday. So, actually, it ends up being a good thing. Give me some requests, give me some ideas. I already have about 4 or 5 titles that I'm going to put up on Blistered Thumbs, but if you have something you really want to see, put it in the comments below and let me know, and I'll try to fit it into FPS Week, which starts next Monday, March the 14th. Now on to today's topic. Alright guys, I got the inspiration for this topic from a guy called CMP Live on YouTube. I will have a link to the video below. The video is called "When Will the Xbox 360 Die?" And the reason he says that is because November of 2010 was the 5-year anniversary of the Xbox. And for anyone who's been around gaming for a while, usually the lifespan of a console is pretty much exactly 5 years. Hell, the original Xbox wasn't even 5 years. And basically his complaint about that is because this hardware, this current generation of hardware is going to be around for so long, it's really going to hold PC gaming back. The graphics are going to look really bad. And basically he vowed that he would never buy a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 because of how dated their hardware is. For you tech guys out there, I'll actually tell you how dated the GPUs are in both the PS3 and Xbox 360. In the PS3, it's called the RSX, or Reality Synthesizer. It has a 550 megahertz core. And basically, when the PS3 was announced in 2005, they were bragging that it was twice as powerful as a 6800 Ultra. Now, for anyone who is a PC tech guy, if you look on most of the boxes now of games, you need to have a minimum of an 8800 GT to play a game. Which, there's a flip side to that too. Sony has a trick up their sleeve when it comes to the PlayStation 3, and that is actually has a couple tricks. Because of the fact that the Blu-ray has such a high storage capacity, games, especially exclusive titles like Uncharted and Killzone, etc., what they do, a big job for a GPU anyway, is to decompress textures. When you have a low storage capacity medium like the DVD, a lot of times, a lot of the work that the GPU has to do is decompress textures, and you know, it takes the compressed texture, decompresses it, and puts it on the polygons or texture models or whatever. With the PlayStation 3, how they get games, their exclusive titles, to actually be native 720p and be high definition is because the textures are already decompressed on the Blu-ray discs. So they'll just stream them through the GPU onto the screen, and the GPU doesn't have to do that much work. Also, too, because the cell processor is such a unique CPU, good developers and good programmers can actually use it to do some graphics calculations and alleviate some of the stress from the RSX GPU. Uncharted 2 did this, and it really showed on screen. Uncharted 2 was beautiful, and it was because Naughty Dog used the cell processor as a secondary GPU is the reason you got such amazing visuals out of that game. But just like the 360, and I'll get into the 360 in a second, multiplats on the PS3 are starting to show their age as well. For a perfect example, Crysis 2 on both the PS3 and 360 is only going to be native 576p. That's very sub HD. That's almost standard definition. It only has a few lines above it. And that's because the GPUs and the systems, their hardware is over 5 years old or around 5 years old. And, you know, if you had a gaming PC that was 5 years old, it wouldn't be able to play most games now. The Xbox 360 has the Xenos graphics chip, which is based on the ATI R500 architecture, which is also very old. It's honestly basically a ATI X1900, which is before ATI had the 3000 series cards. It's an old card. And you'll notice that a lot of games don't have anti-aliasing on the 360. A lot of games are sub-HD as well when they're multiplats, or even when they're exclusives. None of the Halo games that came out on the 360 are actually native HD. And, you know, a lot of people, especially, you know, enthusiasts and hardcore gamers and PC gamers, are getting annoyed at this because they think that the consoles are holding them back from getting the true power that their high-end gaming PCs can unleash. So why is this? Why are the console developers not making new consoles yet? And I could explain to you, at least I have my own theory, and let's get into why I think that you're not seeing the PlayStation 4 and Xbox 720 and Wii 2 and whatever. Back in the day, at least when I was younger, when you had the NES, when you went every 5 years, you got the new console, 5 or 6 years. When you went from the NES to the Super NES or the Genesis, it was a huge leap in visuals. It was instantly noticeable. Even if you weren't a gamer, like, housewives would come over and be like, oh, wow, the Genesis looks so nice. It was just a huge visual difference. There was a big difference in sound, big difference in graphics. It was just a huge jump when you went from 8 to 16-bit. Then when you went from the 16-bit consoles to the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64 and even the Saturn, you went from 2D to 3D. And it was a big jump again. But then after that, okay, you went from the N64 to the Dreamcast. And yes, it was a big jump, but it wasn't as big. Okay? And then when you went to the PS2, which is the same generation as the Dreamcast, when you went from the PS2 to the original Xbox to the Xbox 360 and PS3, it was funny. It wasn't as big, the jump, and it was actually when the Xbox 360 came out. I remember G4, and I heard other tech journalists saying this. They were actually calling the Xbox 360 Xbox 1.5 because they said it was just looked like Xbox graphics with slightly more detail and in 720p. Because if you remember, when the 360 first came out, it was not able to output 1080p. So that's the thing. It's called the law of diminishing returns. And as technology keeps advancing, you're not noticing as big of a leap each time a new generation of hardware comes out. Now, yes, I have a gaming PC and I see the difference in visuals, okay? I see what happens when you have 16x anti-aliasing. I see what Crysis looks like on very high, the original Crysis, not Crysis 2. I see the difference. We see the difference as enthusiasts and as nerds or whatever you want to call us. But the general public, okay, doesn't care about anti-aliasing. They don't care about, having all the lighting effects and whatever else you want to say. I don't remember all the terms, and I'm not going to be here till 4 a.m. making a 4-hour video on them. But all the extra nuances that the current generation video cards have, like my 560 Ti, general gamers, it's not a big enough leap yet. As hard as it is to believe that with 5-year-old consoles there's not a big enough leap yet, there isn't, okay? A lot of my friends just have Xbox 360s and PS3s, and they have no interest in buying a new console. Whereas in the past, there was always that, general interest because it was like, oh man, I'm getting tired of the graphics on this, and, I'd be interested to see what they come out with. Everyone was excited. No one's excited this time. When games like, perfect example is I have Killzone 3. Eventually, one of these lifetimes, I'll review it. I put it up. I just got a 42-inch TV downstairs, and I hooked it up HDMI, and it still looks amazing. How do you tell someone who's not into building PCs or is not into PC gaming that they should go out and buy a new console when they just got Killzone 3? When the visuals and the motion blur and the lighting and when they have the blizzards and the snow effects, you can't tell someone who's not a hardcore tech enthusiast who just enjoys gaming that, oh yeah, man, you should see games with 16x anti-aliasing and super high textures and high resolution this and this and that and this and that. You tell them that, they don't care. And the developers, the hardware developers realize this. Granted, okay, like, Call of Duty Black Ops on the consoles is, I think, native 640p. Don't quote me on that. But no one cares. They're fine with it. Yes, it looks better on the PC, but I had it for the console, and is it a huge difference? I'd be lying if I said it is. And I know that PC gamers are probably going to jump on me for that. And yes, I realize that what the PC is capable of. I have a fairly capable gaming PC, but the problem is that the general public doesn't care. And the law of diminishing returns has hit the industry like a ton of bricks. And on top of it too, the hardware developers are loving this. Think about it. The R&D, the research and development for the 360 and PS3 and Wii is long over with. They're just making money on the consoles now, and no one's demanding a new one, so they're raking in dough right now. I mean, the PS3 has sold almost 48 million units. The 360 is at 50 million. They're almost neck and neck. The Wii is at a shitload, whatever it is. And I mean, hell, the Wii has the hardware capabilities of the Wii are actually a little bit lower than the original Xbox. So that just shows you how little people care about graphics, you know. So it's a different playing field this time. And I know I rambled a little bit right there, but I had a lot to say. Also, too, which kind of reaffirmed that they're really sticking with this console generation, is they came out the whole motion control thing. You know, why, when you just introduced the PlayStation Move and the Kinect, would you drop a new console in a year? You know, I mean, I understand, guys who are PC gamers. I've seen what's on the other side of the fence. I've seen what Crysis looks like maxed out, and I understand your pain. But you have to understand, from a business sense and from a general public sense, they don't care about the slight nuances. They want to see a huge leap, and the technology isn't ready yet to give them that huge leap. This is Rich of Review Tech USA. Thank you for listening.